There we go.
You all right, Tony?
Yeah, Tony's video's frozen a little bit. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Friday night's Premier League Forum. And I hope you guys are doing well. It's been a tough week for everybody. But Tony, I'll let you kick it all off. I'm going to go and try and get some of the score sheets so we can talk about these results.
So, yeah, welcome, everyone. It's been a while for everyone tuning in on all the different platforms. Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm joined by Andy, our trusty ever-present Spurs supporter, singing pretty at the moment. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. Just before we go on, is it possible I could just make a mention? You remember 3 weeks ago we spoke of our friend Vince, who was in hospital. Sadly, since the last show, Vince has sadly passed away. And so we just want to pay a little tribute to Vince Philpott, who was a good friend of both me and Tony. And he was a great all-round good guy, one of life's good guys. So that's the sort of sorry news, just to update you on the 3 weeks ago. But yeah, so Vince, take it easy, mate.
Salute, big guy.
Yeah,
So yeah, we've had a whole load of stuff go on since we've been away. I mean, let's get tucked in, shall we? I mean, where do we start, Apollo? Have you got some fixtures for us to review over the last week?
I'm just getting them up now.
Nice one.
So, Andy, how's your week been, bro?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been some interesting, games and watching a lot of the games and I've just seen Newcastle just won tonight, which is a big win for them. That probably puts them safe, I think.
Yeah.
You'd think maybe you got Leeds Watford tomorrow. I think if Leeds could get a win there, that would probably put them safe, and it literally would just cut those bottom four adrift, and it would be a battle royale. If Watford could beat Leeds, Leeds would still be a little bit nervous, but yeah, I think if Leeds can get a victory tomorrow at Watford, that will be enough to put them safe, I think.
Yeah, the team that are in free fall at the moment are Everton.
Yeah.
And everyone's performing. Yeah, everybody's performing, so Everton are going to get caught up in the wake.
And have you seen their upcoming fixtures as well, Everton? They've got Man United, they've got Liverpool, they've got Chelsea, Arsenal. They've got a very, very tough running.
Yeah.
I wonder if Frank has got enough sense to resign before he's pushed.
The Everton board have said today that they don't think replacing him now that it would achieve anything, it would change anything before the end of the season. So, I mean, but what they're saying is I don't think they could get anyone else in that could save them.
Yeah, if that was Watford, they wouldn't care. They'd just pull the trigger because Watford's trigger happy, man. They're the trigger man of the league.
They're in such sleep. This is one of them Sam Allardyce moments, isn't it, for them? Where you kind of go, you just need to stop hemorrhaging goals and stop losing games. So
you'd only need a new coach to come in and just get a 2-game bounce, 2 wins.
Yeah,
that would probably do it. And someone like Big Sam could probably do it as well.
Yeah,
but maybe they think Frank can turn it around. I don't know.
So let's crack on because we've got a fair bit of stuff to cover in our short time. The results following the international break. I mean, let's just very briefly, Andy, is there anything of note that you want to mention about the international break? I know there were some qualifiers. I know Italy getting knocked out was perhaps the biggest shock of that period.
The biggest shock of any
period. Is there
period.
anything else, Andy?
I mean, the weird thing is that's the second World Cup in a row that Italy aren't going to be at. And I mean, for Italy, there's going to be a whole generation of brilliant Italian players that are just never going to have played in a World Cup. The last time they played in a World Cup was 2014, and the next time they might get in a World Cup will be 2026. That's 12 years between, the potential participation of Italy in the World Cup. And I mean, that's a lot. That's a generation of players that are going to play in the World Cup for the Italians.
I mean, it's
and yet they won the European Championship.
Yeah, it's absolutely ludicrous when you think of some of the world-class players that have not gone to a World Cup, because it would be like tantamount to saying Messi not being at a World Cup ever, because there are some absolutely outstanding players defensively, attacking-wise.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you said, winning the European Championships, you kind of think, they're a European giant.
Yeah. Well, they are. I mean, apart from Germany, they've won it more than any other European side.
Yeah.
In fact, no. Italy have won it more than any other European side. I think they've won it even more than Germany. They've won the World Cup 4 times.
Well, yes,
I think only Brazil have done it more.
Yeah. Ghana qualified on a playoff with Nigeria. That means that they go through, courtesy of a Thomas Partey goal from Arsenal. Also, we saw Senegal repeat their heroics in the African Cup of Nations, where they eliminated Egypt.
Yeah, no Salah at the World Cup.
Yeah, so again, I mean, at least he's been to a World Cup already, right? He was at the last one.
Yeah.
So at least he's been to one. I guess it's Mane's turn to say, I need a slice at the big show. So, interesting result there. And obviously, we now have a few more playoffs left. Scotland are still in with a shout.
Just on that Senegal-Egypt game, Salah missed his penalty and Mane scored his. So it was interesting that's two times in a row Mane's got the winning penalty for Senegal.
Yeah, I won't labour on it too much, but I also found when watching that penalty shootout, I really find it weird how you leave the last penalty to the guys who are supposed to be good penalty takers, because sometimes it doesn't get to that.
Well, that happened in the African nations, but in this one, Salah went first, but he missed, and so they learned from their lesson from the African Nations Cup, and then he missed.
Yeah.
So I'm not enjoying this conversation because my team got knocked out. Not that they had a chance to get in anyway, but the flip side of that is, and for me, one of the biggest shocks in world football is Canada beat Jamaica 4-0.
Yeah.
Boo hoo hoo to qualify for the World Cup. It's the first time since 1986, I believe.
Yeah. 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah, and guess who scored 2 goals in that game? Junior Hollett. Remember him? It's a name I haven't heard from for a while.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's not at Everton anymore, is he? I don't know where. I don't know. He's one of them guys that. He's one of them guys that moved on. I have no idea where he's playing now. I think. You know what? He was at Cardiff. Then he went to Reading. I don't know. He might be still at Reading. Can somebody check for me? He might be at Reading. Either way, this was a guy who was playing in the Premier League, and not anymore. So Jamaica not made the World Cup, and I'm gonna let Bertram fill you guys in on that when he comes up, because he's been doing so much work behind the scenes in Coach's Desk. You guys know Coach's Desk is only available to everybody in the UK from 2 a.m. in the morning. So sometimes I watch it when I'm up, but most of you guys, especially Darren, my buddy from work, are already long asleep by that time. But yeah, I mean, well done to all the Canadians. I mean, they're on fire right now, and they're going to be the sleeping. They're going to be the glory boys of the World Cup. Everyone's going to be just like America was before them.
Yeah. So Junior Hoylett is still at Reading. I checked it out.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, let's crack on. Fixtures following that break. Liverpool with what seemed like an easy win at home to Watford. There wasn't much to say about that. Man City then followed that early morning kickoff with a midday, a 3 o'clock win away to Burnley. Again, nothing really unexpected. Wolves beating Villa, Leeds, Southampton, Brighton, Norwich 0-0, Chelsea. Now that was the shock of the day.
Boy, well, first of all, I have to say that Brentford haven't won in a while. I mean, like, they haven't put a performance in. This was the Brentford that we saw before Christmas. After Christmas, they've struggled to find any kind of form.
Well, they've picked up since Eriksen came in.
Yeah.
They've won a couple of games recently, and Eriksen sort of inspired a recovery there.
And that's a great story, isn't it? I mean, you know, for a guy who was laid out on a pitch not even 12 months ago, for him to be back playing, scoring, commanding a team in the Premier League, the most physical of all leagues, that's a great success story. And, you know, we've got to give kudos to him for having done what he needed to do. He also scored in
both the internationals for Denmark as well.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Isn't it funny, guys, how one player can inspire a whole team? This happened with Newcastle and Trippier. Has anybody heard anything about Kieran Trippier's injury? Is he going to be back this season?
They were talking about, they thought he was going to be back last week, but he wasn't. So I don't know. It could, I think maybe he could be another few weeks at least.
Yeah, because
I mean, the question is, do they need him now? Because I would imagine
they're safe.
They're safe, yeah.
Yeah, they're safe. They're safe. But you know, when everybody was looking at that, they were saying, "Ooh, I'm not sure." And he really wanted to go back to Spurs. That's what he wanted to do, but it just wasn't going to happen. Do you want to touch on that a little bit, Andy, in terms of what your thoughts were behind him going back to Spurs? Is that something that you feel still could have happened?
Well, I think he's better than our current crop of right backs, because we've basically struggled. Personally, I never thought that Trippier was the greatest fullback in the world. He's decent and he's had a good impact at Newcastle, but he was never somebody that I thought, well, set the world on fire. But
he won La Liga.
Sorry?
He won the league in La Liga.
That's what I meant. Yeah, I know I did. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He is. He's done well for England. He did well at Atletico. He's doing all right at Newcastle. He did all right for Tottenham. But he never, for me, he never set the world alight. He was no Kyle Walker. And that's who he replaced at Spurs. Spurs have never replaced Kyle Walker ever since he left. We had Trippier, we've had Aurier, we've had Emerson Royal, we've tried Matt Doherty. None of them have worked. It's been a strange. It's been one of our weak positions since Walker left. Trippier did okay for that season, but I just think that I mean he would probably be better than what we've got there at the moment. I don't doubt that, but I don't think that there was a. I'm not sure that he did really want to come back to Spurs. What made you say that he wanted to come back to Spurs?
Well, you know, I know a couple of the guys' agents.
Okay.
Yeah, I know a couple of the guys' agents. So I heard a couple of things which I thought I might as well ask you a question on. And what your thoughts are about it.
I heard it was rumored that he might come back to Spurs, but I never heard any sort of like solid, concrete evidence that Spurs were actually interested in bringing him back.
No, I think I told you I told you on the Friday. I might have not mentioned that. I might have sort of just ruffled it under the carpet. That there was a possible meeting. I'm
not sure Spurs were ever going to spend the money on getting Trippier back when they'd spent all that money on Emerson Royal, to be honest. Which I think there's rumours. I think that Royal's being looked at in Spain, so I'm maybe hoping that somebody in Spain comes in for Royal and he goes back, because I don't think he's the answer for us.
So here's my next question. Moving on the conversation, Chelsea. What's happened to Chelsea? Because we've seen 2 results in a week where they're at home and they got thrashed. The game against Brentford. Am I right? Did they start with Lukaku or did he come off the bench?
Against Brentford,
Yeah.
I believe he came off the bench. He hasn't started in a while, has he?
Yeah, he did come off the bench. Yeah, he
Yeah,
came on
yeah,
at
he-
65 minutes. I mean, clearly he's a problem for Chelsea. I mean, Kai Havertz has looked superb of late. You know, but he's clearly getting run ragged. And it looks like when Chelsea got a plan B, which is Lukaku, they get nothing out of him. What's your thoughts, guys?
So I just want to say, because I did mention this when we were talking about it the other day on the stream when Arsenal Crystal Palace, and I just looked at this Chelsea side, and we've all been waiting for the weight of the sanctions to sort of fall on their shoulders. And what they've done is it actually pushed them forward. They bagged about 2 or 3 good results going through all of this instability with the manager, the players not being able to know whether they're going to sign new contracts or bring in new players. And we thought, that's it, they're going to capitulate. And it just didn't happen. And I think what happened against Brentford was that they were riding that wave, and all of a sudden it's the realism of what's been going on, and there was no effort there. And that's very unlike Chelsea. Very unlike Chelsea.
What's your thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange one because the players that they've got available to them at Chelsea, you know, the squad defensively, in midfield, certainly in wide areas, that they've got a lot there. They had a period where they really struggled without Reece James. You know, when we're not having Reece James and Chilwell, that really changes the dynamic of that Chelsea team, because they rely on those two a lot to give them a lot of their attacking threat. And so I think that's affected Chelsea. I think Reece James came back for a game, didn't he? But then he missed the next one or something.
I mean, it's interesting that defensively they've leaked 7 goals in 2 games. You know, when you look
Mendy and Rudiger had a nightmare against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but I think it's just a lapse as well, because they're in no man's land. Their team is full of instability. Their league position is they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They're not going to challenge for the title, and they're going to make the Champions League. So they're just in this middle space at the moment where it's just white noise.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
if they win or lose, it doesn't really make a difference each week.
I think up until last week, I would have agreed with you. But do you think now there's a chance that maybe Chelsea could get sucked in to the race for Champions League?
I don't think so, no. I think they're too good I think their manager is too good for that.
I agree. And I mean, the tie isn't over. We all know that Real Madrid can lose by several goals at home. It's happened before.
Yeah, but Chelsea aren't going to do that there.
I don't know, Andy. I wouldn't write it off.
Not the way they're playing.
Tuchel is the kind of guy who can go out and establish a pattern of play, and all it takes is 2 goals. And that game is open up again. It's not like they're 4-0 down. They're only 3-1?
Yeah, 3-1. Yeah.
You think Chelsea are going to go to the Bernabeu and win by 3?
Yeah, that's not going to happen, man.
That's not going to happen, Tony.
Mind you, I said that against Liverpool and Barcelona, and look what happened.
Playing Europa League football, went there and thrashed them the week prior.
Who?
Barcelona.
Yeah, but Barcelona are on the up at the moment.
Right. Yeah. But would you say that Barcelona are eons above Chelsea?
No, I'm not. Don't get me wrong, Tony. I'm not saying that Chelsea don't have the people. If they're playing at their best, they could go and do it. I just say that I don't see Real Madrid losing by 3 at home in a Champions League quarter-final with the experience that they... Look at the way, when they went 3-1 up, look at the way Real managed that game at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah,
well, when they 3-1 up, that game got closed down.
Last year against... Was it not Chelsea last year that knocked them out?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the games,
and they won.
But they're different sides now, Tony.
Well,
okay.
it's not so much that they're different sides. Is that if you look at Benzema, he's on fire. He has 11 goals in 8 Champions League games. He cannot stop scoring. So
Guys,
are you saying?
you know,
Are you saying to me that at the Bernabeu they're going to hold this guy scoreless? I don't think they are.
You know, I'm a Real Madrid fan and I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm also a realist. And I know that this season is flattering to the sea for Real Madrid. They look like they look like they're flying the league, yeah, and they're doing well in the Champions League. But let's not forget, did they not lose to Sheriff?
No, I'm talking about one player.
Yeah.
Who's the best?
Doesn't make a team, Apollo.
Well, he's making their team. Who's the best striker in the world right now, Tony?
Harry
Now?
Kane.
No. Benzema's got 35 goals and 11 and 12 assists. 35 goals and 12 assists.
Still not the top scorer in Europe, though, is he?
But he's in Serie A.
Yeah,
That's
playing for Real Madrid.
La Liga.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's
playing for Real
surrounded by
Madrid.
Galacticos. Let's be honest, brother. He's surrounded by Galacticos. I'm a Real Madrid fan. I love that he's doing well. Yeah. My point is, Real Madrid are not this all-conquering team that they're not even third favourites for me for the Champions League.
Tony, I completely agree with you. I think the Spanish league this season is the level of the Spanish league this season is not great, and Real Madrid have just taken advantage of that. The fact they're 12 points clear at the top of La Liga tells me that the Spanish league is not strong this year, because this is by no means the best Real Madrid side that you've seen in recent years.
I think we all agreed last year. Remember when Atletico won the title? We all said that league, that for the next 3 years, that league's going to be, anyone can have it. Anyone who turns up can have it.
But the issue is that Chelsea at their best wouldn't have lost 3-1 at home to Real Madrid the other night, right? Chelsea at the moment, I think they've got a problem on their hands, because they can't sign any new deals, and you've got people like Rudiger, Azpilicueta, Christensen, apparently all going to Spain at the end of the season. That's half their defence, and they've got a big problem on their hands. And I wonder how motivated some of those Chelsea players are if they know they're not going to be there next season. It changes the dynamic.
Yes, and that's what my point was about. It's finally come to a head for them, and you can see that in their results. They had a good spell. They had a good spell, mate. But right now, sometimes as well, you have to marvel at the majesty of Toni Kroos, Modric, Benzema. They're not going to keep them guys quiet.
I think Tuchel got his tactics wrong the other night. Anyway, though, you can't. He played a 4 across the middle. With Real Madrid have got Casemiro, Modric, and Kroos in there. I mean, the two boys on their own are not going to cope with those three. It was just a bad matchup. I just think he'd be better off going matching them up across the park. I just think he did. I don't think he played the right way against them the other night.
But the thing is, Andy, Modric is 36, Benzema's 34.
Yeah, but they've got experience. They know what to do in big games. They know how to play big games. All that team, Kroos, Benzema, Modric, all these players, they've been there and they've done it, and they know what to do, and they know what it takes to get over the line. And that's why you sometimes find, aging teams, even if they don't have the same energy as some of the younger guys, when it comes to big matches like quarterfinals, semi-finals, or European competitions, you often find the most experienced teams go through, and that's because they know how to get over the line.
Yeah, because the whole thing before that game is Mason Mount, Pulisic, Havertz were going to run all over them. The young boys were going to. That's what everyone was talking about before the game, and it was just exactly what you said, Andy. It was just the wily old fox, man, just coming in and just putting it down. It was a masterclass by Real
Look at that second half. Once they were 3-1 up, They didn't care about going 4, 5, 6. They just shut the game down. They said, we're not going to let Chelsea back in this game. And they didn't.
Brilliant job. Anyway, moving back onto the league, let's crack on. Man United was the last game of the day, I think. They drew 1-1 at home to Leicester. Leicester were unlucky not to have got a win on that game. So that concluded the Saturday results. Was there any of those games, guys, that anyone wants to mention?
Leicester were I thought Leicester were pretty good at United.
Yeah,
they could easily have won that. They could have easily won that game.
Yeah,
but 1-1 was probably a fairish result. But Leicester had some chances in that game. That if they had taken their chances, they'd have won that game.
And it's a shame Darren isn't here because we have still not seen Man United click. It's still an issue. There's still a problem there.
Yeah, I did talk to him.
Ronaldo wasn't playing last Saturday. Wasn't in the squad. Right.
Yeah, I did talk to him on Tuesday, and he just said that they need to rip it up and start again. They need to just rip it all up and start again. So
then on Sunday, we saw West Ham win at home to Everton, which was not unusual. And then Tottenham spanked the bejesus out of Newcastle.
That surprised me, that did.
Which, I mean, Newcastle
hadn't conceded more than one goal in any of their last 11 Premier League games.
Yeah, well, they were unbeaten to a point, weren't they, before the run that they're going on? So
that was their third successive defeat, but the two previous ones have been 1-0.
Yeah.
But they, we just, I don't know. Once we got on top, we just took over.
I mean, Tottenham have scored more goals than any team this year, haven't they? In 2022,
it was a sweet 10-minute spot because I literally went out the room for 10 minutes, came back, and you was 4-1 up. I was like, what the?
It was a great game, but again, I think it's one not to get carried away with because we hit a good period. Kane basically dropped, and he basically dropped in a bit deeper in the second half, and he just started pulling the strings, and he ran the show in the second half. Son was a willing runner. Doherty, the fullbacks contributed in a way. We got three fullbacks on the score sheet: Royal, Doherty, and Ben Davis, which has never happens at Spurs. So that was something must be going on with Conte when we've got fullbacks scoring.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm quite encouraged at the moment, but I'm nervous about tomorrow because historically, tomorrow would be a day when we'd go all Spursy and lose at Villa. If we're making progress.
Didn't I say that to you, Tony?
Yeah, no, I mean, historically they don't do well at Villa, so it's a banana skin ground.
We've got a pretty good record against Villa over the years. To be fair, we've lost once or twice in recent years.
At Villa Park. Yeah.
But we've got a reasonable. I think we won there last year. I think we've got a pretty good record over the years at Villa, certainly at home. But Villa have got some very good players. If they click on their day, they're going to cause us problems tomorrow. But Arsenal went there and got a result 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, 1-1-0. We've got to go and do the same. If we want to keep pace in the top 4 race, we need to go there and get a result. But, you could put some pressure on us tomorrow by beating Brighton before we play. If you do that, you put the pressure back on us. So, we'll wait and see what happens. But let's talk about Crystal Palace.
So I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I've made 3 hours of videos this week for you guys to check on this channel about Palace before I've said everything I can say. I really want to hear what Andy thought about the whole thing. Andy,
let me jump in and say, first and foremost, congratulations to our former invincible Patrick Vieira. I have to say, and I said it on the watch along, he's doing a fantastic job at Crystal Palace. I personally would love to see him come back and manage at Arsenal. I know that has been the talk of a few other channels, actually. To say,
And I don't know why, because what has he done?
Well,
I don't
he's showing-
understand.
He's showing that he can take a team with no stars in that team and less buying power and make them perform at a top level. Don't forget they're in an FA Cup semi-final. So if you're going to go like for like, what has Arteta done? Yeah, with all the money and all the great players and a £72 million player and a £100 million.
So let's
budget.
park the. So let's park the
but
seven.
You're trying to say that Vieira's
No, all right. Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Let's park the 72 million player because he's nothing to do with Arteta. He don't want him. He didn't buy him, and he's not playing him. So that's gone. So let's go like for like. Yeah. Arteta won the FA Cup. Vieira hasn't won any cups.
Vieira's in a semi-final.
But he hasn't won any cups.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're comparing
Secondly,
one game.
Secondly, Arteta's taken a young, inexperienced team and got them to challenge for the top four. Vieira hasn't done that. There's been 7 changes in that Palace team. And last week, I heard they were talking about it on TalkSport, and they were saying now he's beaten Arsenal, he's managed to match Roy Hodgson's points total, which is from the last season. So there's no doubt about he's done a very good job. I think he's done a fantastic job, considering what he's doing now was not really seen in New York or when he was in France. We never saw this level. Yeah, this is the top level. The Premier League is where it's at. And he's showing that he can manage in this league. But Arteta has taken a young team, and it's not including this 72 million or whatever. He's not even involved in the team. He's taken young, inexperienced players who haven't cost a lot of money. Yeah.
Hang on. You spent £150 million last summer.
Yeah, we did.
Thank
we
you.
did. Yeah. And it was well spent.
What's he done with it, Apollo?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Fantastic.
But Ben White, good signing. I still think £50 million was a lot, but he's played all right. I still don't think he's top class, but I think he's decent. Ramsdale's done well, but he's had 1 or 2 iffy games recently. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just looking.
Apollo froze a little bit.
Apollo wants
I'm
to
here.
prove the point that Vieira is leagues below Arteta. But
I didn't say. I said he's been.
I don't agree with that because
I don't agree with that either. I didn't say leagues below.
What I'm saying to you is Vieira is yet to prove it long term. But what you can only say about Vieira is he's been in the Premier League less than 1 season. He's taken. I can honestly say I never enjoyed watching Crystal Palace. They were the most boring teams that you could watch for the last few years under Hodgson and various other teams. They always sort of just were a workman-like team that could get results and do enough to finish mid-table and avoid relegation. Vieira's taken that team and he's made them good to watch. I now look to watch Palace's games or whatever, because with Elise and Zaha and the players and Gallagher in midfield, they're a team that's good to watch.
Yeah.
Vieira's got playing good football.
Let me give you another stat, Andy, that will support you. Crystal Palace has lost the same number of games
as Arsenal. I know.
And less games than
the
Tottenham.
Difference is the amount they've drawn. You've won games that they've drawn.
Exactly.
I did say that 13 games. They're the draw masters of the Premier League. Yeah.
What you've spent and what he's spent is nothing.
Yeah.
No, I don't agree. I'm looking here. They spent 78 million last summer.
What did they sell?
They sold.
So I'm gonna just carry on with my my little bit while you look that up. I personally like what Vieira's doing. I think
so do I. But when you compare him to Arteta, I don't agree. It's too polished. Top 4 challenging, FA Cup winning, and then
we're not really top floor challenging until this season. And let's be honest, that could easily go way wrong.
It could easily go, but it's gone right, Tony.
Wrong.
His second year is.
If he finishes top 4,
can I just say something though? When you talk about your top 4 challenge, I appreciate you've been there for a couple of months, and you've deserved to be there on the results that you've had. But you, to some extent, and we can argue about whether you should or shouldn't have got away with what you did back in January. But anyway, fixtures have been manipulated, and you've had runs of fixtures against teams that weren't top sides, and you've won them, and you've done well because you've got to go and win these games. Fair play. But when you've come up against the better teams this season, you haven't done it. You've fallen short.
Yeah, but Andy, that's been the case for the last 5 years. There's nothing
Okay,
new.
so what I'm saying is, what's improved?
What's improved is that they've found stability in
You've
terms
got
of
more points against weaker teams.
Yeah, they've got that.
But
Which
you've
is
not
stability.
done it against the teams you really need to do it against.
Yes,
And
yes,
all
that's
I,
right,
and,
yeah.
and what I will say is that you've still got, and I said this before you played Palace the other night. I said you still have in your last 10 games, you've got 4 away London derbies. You had Palace was the first one, and you've lost it. You've still got to go to West Ham. You've still got to go to Chelsea, and you've still got to come to Spurs.
And
you've
they're the
still got to
youngest
play Man
team in the
United.
league.
You've got a tough finish.
They're the youngest team in the league, Andy.
Who is? You are.
Arsenal. They're the youngest squad in the
Yeah.
league.
But what's that got to do with it? What I'm
That's
saying.
got everything to do with
That's not
it.
a good thing. That's not.
Yeah,
a good thing.
it's got everything
That's
to do with
not a good
it.
thing, Apollo, because we're in the squeaky bum time, and we're going to be depending on kids.
Yeah, look,
Listen,
Andy, mate.
I'm going to say, and let's move on. But if Arteta gets top 4, I'm gonna be out there cheering this guy.
Yeah, because they've overachieved.
The next best thing since sliced bread. Let's give him a new contract, and let's move on with the the process, as they say.
Yeah, Arsenal are punching above their weight. Spurs, Man United are punching below their weight.
If he doesn't do it, I'm gonna be looking and going, there's a guy down the road who's doing a great job, and I would be happy to see at some point Patrick Vieira, and it may not be in the next 4 or 5 years, but Patrick Vieira for me is somebody I would love to see back at Arsenal.
Can I just ask you? I think I know what Tony's answer will be. Are you telling me, Apollo, if at the end of the season you had the opportunity to appoint Patrick Vieira as your next manager, you wouldn't take him over Arteta? Are you saying you'd prefer Arteta over Vieira?
Yes. Yes, of course I am. Look how after 2 years, look how well it's working.
I don't see that, mate. I don't see it at all.
After 2 years, look where we are. Why would only an idiot would tear that all up and get rid of it when we haven't? We're just starting to get it right. He's changed the goalkeeper. He's changed the defense, the midfield. The only thing he has done is got himself a striker, which he'll do this year. This summer, when it's all done, his squad will literally, well, not the squad, but the starting 11 would literally be his team. And the bar for success is set so high. And he's right now, he's in the mix. He's meeting that challenge, which I think is fantastic.
I just think, I look at Vieira, the player that Vieira, I mean, as I say, as a Spurs fan, I'm no great fan of Patrick Vieira, but I had a lot of respect for him. He was a fantastic footballer, great player. Very successful, part of the Invincibles, etc., etc.
World Cup winner.
World Cup winner, exactly. So what I'm saying is he did everything in the game apart from the Champions League. So, you know, you've got to have utmost respect for him. He's now taken that mentality. He had a winning mentality. When you watched him play, he was going to win. You know, that was his mentality. You always saw the bust-ups with Roy Keane and people like that. He was one of the few people that went toe-to-toe with the likes of United at a time when United were dominant, and he held his own with them and often surpassed them. He was a great player, had the right mentality. If I was you, and I'm not, but fair enough, if I was you, I would look at that and say, for me, Vieira has the mentality to take my team to win something. And I'm not convinced. I know I've said, you're always going to throw in the FA Cup. I'm not.
Yeah, because it's an important honour.
Talk about Community Shield because it's just nonsense, right? That you talk about the FA Cup. All right, he won an FA Cup. He's always going to have that in the bank, and no one can take that away from him. Fair enough. For me, that doesn't make him a great manager. I know he did it. I think he's done well building your young team.
That's what makes him
a great manager. Arsenal, good team to watch.
Yeah.
I don't like saying it as a Spurs fan, but I do like Saka and Martinelli, as you know. I've said before about Martinelli. You've got an Odegaard. You've got some decent players there. I'm still not sure that, and he can prove me wrong in the last 9 games or whatever it is. I'm still not sure you're going to get that top 4. You should have.
I'm not sure
because you had 3 games in hand. Now you've only got 1.
We've got four injuries in a squad of 18 players. We've got 4 injuries. So it's not.
Tierney's now out for the rest of the season.
So is Partey. So is Partey. So it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. If anybody thinks we're going to finish 4th,
this is where I don't understand your policy in January of just shipping out players and not bringing in anyone.
I mean, welcome to Arsenal. Everyone's been talking about it, but there's nothing we can do. What's done is done.
You could have known that you were going to have a problem at the end of the season with injuries, suspensions, whatever it may be. I mean, Xhaka, you always know with Xhaka, he's only ever one moment of madness away from another red card. I thought he might get one the other night. He got a yellow, and he could quite easily have had a red. But it's kind of I just think that you made a mistake. Spurs, we shipped out Ndombele, Lo Celso. What was the other midfielder? Ali. I mean, we got rid of Brian Hill. We let 4 players go, all of which are international players, and we let them all go. And we were worried, but then we brought in Bentancur and Kulusevski right in the end of the window, and those 2 have been invaluable for us in the last few months.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a mistake.
Really good additions.
Yeah, it was a mistake that's come back to bite them in the butt because they weren't accounting for these injuries, which that's on Edu. That's Edu's role. But I do agree with what Kes says here. It says you can't bring in Patrick after a season. Sorry, that's hearts over minds. I completely.
There's no heart over mind with me. Mine's mind over heart. I've got no heart for Arsenal.
Yeah, because
I'm telling you what I see, what I watch. I would go with Patrick Vieira if I was you.
Yeah. But
with Arteta,
I don't understand. They're sitting in 9th. They're not sitting in 6th or they're not right behind us. There's 17 points behind us, as Kes points out.
Look at what he's working with.
Not going to be near Arsenal, are they?
Why? These players at Arsenal are inexperienced. Most of them is their first season in the Premier League.
Palace being where Crystal Palace were last season and where Arsenal were, right? And Patrick Vieira's come in. You've spent 150 odd million. He spent whatever, 60, 70 million or whatever. And he's now got them to 9th in the table. They're 4 places behind you. At the end of this weekend, you could be 7th. You might not be. You might be 4th. But you could be 7th.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we finished 8th twice last season. We weren't nobody last season, bro.
Okay. So guys, I mean, my last point on that game is, look, Arsenal didn't turn up. We clearly suffered because of injuries down the left flank with Tierney being absent and the replacement getting hoiked at half time. I don't know what happened to Thomas Partey during the game. He came back from international duty, okay. But we weren't at the races, and Vieira constructed a very good plan to nullify everything that Arsenal brought during the game. In all honesty, if you take the second half on its own, Arsenal were a better team. But by that time, Vieira had worked his magic and they did what they needed to do. Let's move on, guys.
Before you move on, Tony, I just want to say we didn't mention probably the biggest shock result of the week, which was Villarreal.
We ain't got to Wednesday yet. We're only still on
We did.
Monday.
We talked about Chelsea and Real Madrid.
Yeah, but we were talking about them because we were talking about the Saturday game.
Okay.
So I'm only.
Look at Andy smiling there. Look, you had him and you let him go.
Yeah. So Tuesday saw the Champions League review. Liverpool winning at Benfica. Well, Man City eking out a 1-0 win against Atletico. I got a feeling that's going to be a tough return.
It will be after the Liverpool game on Sunday. It's going to be tough to go there Wednesday.
Yeah. Then on Wednesday, Chelsea spanked by Real Madrid. We talked about that. Villarreal, Unai Emery, good evening. Came and done a job at home to Bayern Munich, and to all intents and purposes, that tie should have been out of place, but finished by now, right, Andy?
Yeah. Yeah, it should be done, but it's not. And you wouldn't shock you if Bayern Munich turn it over next week.
No, it's a good thing, Andy, you said that, because I'll let you carry on. But Villarreal are so good at just shutting teams down. They're so good at it.
They are, and they're one of the few teams. I mean, they did it to United last year.
Yep.
They did it to Arsenal. They are decent. They're capable. It's just there's something about Bayern Munich at home. You always feel that they're capable of going to score 3-4 goals at home, whoever they're playing. And I don't think they'll get 3 or 4 against Villarreal, but I wouldn't be shocked if they went and won that game 2-0, 3-1, whatever. It still wouldn't shock me. But yes, I think Emery's a very organised coach. He knows how to set a team up to stifle opposition. And Villarreal have got some decent players. They've got a couple of ex-Spurs for a start. In Lo Celso and Foyth, and
I was listening to Glenn Hoddle.
Capue's in the team as well, I think.
Yes, I was listening to Glenn Hoddle, and they were talking about, who's been your top 11 players in the Champions League this season, and he mentioned Francis Coquelin is in his first 11.
Mm.
And Tony knows about it. You remember what happened against Arsenal and Man United? He was He was man of the match for the series against Arsenal and Manchester United. This was a player that I've been talking about Arsenal for years, and a lot of people said, he weren't ready, he weren't good enough. He was rated in the top 5 defensive midfielders in Europe when he was at Arsenal. He led in Europe top 3 in interceptions, duels, the whole shebang, and we let him go for 10 million on a bag of chips.
Never kicked an international game ball in his life.
But look at your recruitment policy there.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. On the same night, Burnley played Everton, and that was a seesaw game. 1-0 down, 2-1 up, 3-2 down. Burnley eked out that win and further increased their chances of getting out of the relegation zone. Yeah, I mean, as we said earlier, Everton are in complete, utter freefall at the moment.
How did you get on against Everton?
Sorry, buddy?
How did Arsenal get on against Everton this season?
No, they lost, man. They got embarrassed. Yeah. It could have been 5-1.
Everton won 1 game in 15 games. That was against you.
Oh, mate, Arsenal is the gift that keeps on giving, mate. Whenever a team that's low lying needs some help, Arsenal will give them the help. Anyway, let's move on. That's
why them lot was talking about the Brighton game tomorrow, because Brighton, I talked about their results. They've scored 1 goal in their last 5, and that was away from home. So in the last 6, and that was away from home. Their last 5 home games, they have failed to hit the net. That is atrocious. You can't score at home in 5 games.
Wow. They couldn't even score against us. That's really saying something.
Okay, so I don't want to dwell on the Europa League, Europa Conference business. Well done to Leicester. Well done to West Ham. Both got draws in it, I think.
What did you think last night about West Ham, the sending off in the West Ham game? Cresswell.
I didn't see it. I've no idea.
You've not seen it?
I watched the game literally just after that happened, but I didn't see the actual file.
But basically, Dembele I don't know what Dembele is, because there's about 4 different Dembeles, but
yeah,
Dembele raced through. He raced through, and Cresswell came in from the wrong side, and he did the usual thing where he's trying to initiate a contact to put the striker off without trying to do anything too bad, but he puts his arm on his shoulder. Dembele goes down like he's been hit by a sniper rifle, basically, and it's outside the box, and the referee gives him Cresswell a red card. But Dembele's last movement was to move the ball away from the goal. So then they were saying, well, one was there was a defender nearby. I think he was through on goal, And I think by strict interpretation, it's it's a red card, but it was really harsh. And what didn't help was when he was down on the floor, and once he'd seen he got a red card, Dembele winked at the camera, a bit like the old, the old Ronaldo wink.
Yeah.
And so that made you think, yeah, I mean, he knew what he was doing. And Moyes,
I mean, even in today's game, Chris Wood's winning that penalty for Newcastle today. Both his feet are dragging along the floor. He knows.
Yeah, he knows.
I'm just getting a penalty. I'm getting a penalty. There's no doubt that really shouldn't be a penalty.
Yeah, well, in this instance,
he's not running. He's sliding his feet, go on, get that foot out there because I'm going to fall over it.
In this instance, what Andy's talking about, I don't even think that beyond that it shouldn't have been anything, because there was a foul on Jared Bowen before all of that, and the referee missed it, and the linesman had his flag up, and the referee just completely missed it, and play carried on. So I don't think, and in respect to VAR and all this, I know they say that the Europa League is different and it's not till the semi-final. Well, here we are, guys. I mean, seriously, somebody that should never have gone on to be what it was.
But also VAR should have brought it back as well.
Yeah, because it's semi-final. It comes on the semi-final. Yeah, it's a really stupid
rule. They're in the
quarter-final
stage. They're not in the semi-final stage.
Yeah, so that's the reason why it was a goal, and it would have been disallowed if it was which I just think is bonkers. It doesn't make sense to me.
Also, all the West Ham fans I've seen have said that this referee is the one that Jude Bellingham accused of being involved in match fixing and stuff in Germany.
Wow. So, guys, obviously today the new weekend of football began. Newcastle won 1-0 at home to Wolves.
It's a good result.
Chris Wood, as I said, he won a penalty. My thoughts on that game were Newcastle bossed the first half, Wolves had the second half. Newcastle won it on that one split decision.
If that keeps him up, he's been worth the 25 million.
Absolutely. So let's get to tomorrow's fixtures up, shall we, Apollo? Let's crack on with seeing what's going to happen. I did want to talk very briefly about what do you guys think, before you get that up, about this new idea that 2 teams will retain a place in the Champions League. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think it's a mockery. I think it's a mockery.
This was the idea behind the Super League, wasn't it? They want to be guaranteed the income, and this is the whole Americanization of the whole.
So this
to
me smacks of the Super League going. I tell you what, we haven't gone away. We're coming back unless you do something to guarantee us places in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And this is them kowtowing. This is UEFA kowtowing and going, you know what? These lot are coming back with a Super League 2.0.
Because it's
can do something.
Yes, it's because it's happening. Everybody knows that there's rumblings that they're still talking about it, and the other teams, some of the other teams that claim that they want nothing to do with it are still talking about a Super League. So it's still going on. So you two are completely 100% right. They're trying to weather the storm and keep everybody happy so that they don't go off and do their own thing, and really just smacks of ignorance to the fact that you've had this thing, Champions League, for 2 decades, and you just haven't fixed it. You've just let it fester and just you've not fixed anything with it. You've just let it go out there. You've taken all the money and you've not actually made it better. You've made it more entertaining, and you've not made it fair.
The inherent problem I have with the American idea of being automatically in a league is it takes away the element of competition and jeopardy. If you know you're going to be in a competition the next year, then it just takes away the sort of the jeopardy of maybe not making it, the excitement of the fans. Are we going to make it? Are we not going to make it? If you know you're going to be there, it becomes then, which is what the Americans want, it becomes then about entertainment more than sport. Yeah. And for me, I'm really pro keeping the competitive edge of sport. Because the moment you take it away and make it almost like a franchise where everyone's involved every year, whether or not they do well or not, well, okay, that might be very profitable for the people that own the football team.
Those franchises,
but it's not. It doesn't make for the same level of competition, because part of competition is the jeopardy that you can lose.
Yeah.
If you know you're not going to lose, whether or not you win the game or not, you know you're going to be there next season. That takes away a key thing that is inherent in what we love in this country about sport. But that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it won't still be entertaining. I just think that you lose something.
So the I don't agree with that, being an American sports fan and advocate. In the last 20 years, there's only one team in America that filed for bankruptcy, and that's the Texas Rangers, who are a baseball team. It's done because of exactly what you said, because of money. If every team in our leagues, we're talking about apples and oranges here, so no one's right or wrong. It's just two different completely. So what's happening? The real problem is everything we've done from the late 80s to now is to try to copy America's sports formula, and that's including TV, what we do with sponsorship, names on the back of the jerseys. Remember when we used to watch the big match with Brian Moore? We didn't have names on the back of the jersey. So everything that we've done is because of the viewer's experience and the entertainment factor. And we've copied it all from America. Video replay, the whole lot. Yeah. So it's just because in America, they've done it to just protect their franchises. All the owners, they sit in a room and they all say what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. And the main thing that concerned them in the 70s was they didn't want their teams to go bankrupt and to go down. So because of all the money that's in the game, you don't hear about teams going bust. It just doesn't happen. Even if sorry, go on.
But for me, it takes away the edge of the sporting competition, where part of it is the sort of the fact that there's some kind of jeopardy if you lose. Yeah. Whereas if you know you're going to be there next season, no matter whether you win, lose, or draw, it just kind of I get the idea that we want to be entertained. Of course, we all want to be entertained. I understand that, and maybe we have a level of football now in this country where the Premier League's the best league in the world, that we have a level of entertainment now which is greater than what we had maybe 40 years ago. But I do think that some of the sort of the edge, the sporting edge of the game has gone a little bit, and I think VAR is a big part of that as well. I think the football game is being over sanitized. You know, some of the things that are getting red cards on now is just a joke. You know, this business where a player's follow through might catch someone's leg. I mean, you know, when I was playing,
and somebody's armpit is offside.
Well, yeah, but silly things. But when I was playing, we were told, go through, get the ball, make sure the guy knows he's been in a challenge. That was your job, to get him on the follow through. That was part of you were trained to do it. You were trained to get the ball and maybe get a bit of the man as well. And I just think now you can't. That's all gone now. I don't know. I think we're losing some of the physicality of the game. I don't think it's for the better.
Yeah,
I said Apollo is really accurate in relation to American sport and the technology following across the Atlantic to Europe. The one
almost
thing
every
the American sport groups have that we haven't instigated, that to me makes absolute sense that we haven't followed, is salary cap.
Yeah, I know. I keep saying to people that that's coming because it's hit various sports around the world. It
can't come because the teams that are currently paying their players $800,000 a week, can't be involved in any kind of salary cap.
Yeah, we tried it.
Playing one player more than the whole of another team.
Yeah, we tried it with financial fair play, and there's too much corruption in the game. We've known there's been corruption in the game for decades, but that really highlighted it. the fact that Man City was caught with their knickers down. We saw that, we knew about the emails, we knew about the letters. They were caught red-handed, and they paid their way out of it. So there is no. From then, it killed financial fair play. So what if you gave Man City and PSG a 50 million? What's 50 million fine? What is it? Yeah. You don't get. If you docked to 9 points, that would have hurt more, but you didn't. You find them chump change. So I totally agree with you. And in the mix of things, salary caps have helped various different sports. Like, we talk about VAR. That's in rugby, tennis, cricket. It's in every major sport in the world. Yeah. Salary caps starting to creep through now. We've seen it happen.
Not in the same way as it is in football, though. Tennis, you've got Hawkeye. It tells you, is it on the line? Is it away from the line? Has it caught the edge of the line? It's black and white. Video. Is it right or wrong? What we're using VAR for now is subjective. You will look at an incident and you will say, I think that was a sending off. I'll look at the same incident and think, no, it wasn't. That shouldn't be what VAR is used for. VAR should be used for matters of fact, not matters. But
I've always said, Andy, that VAR's problem is not VAR; it's the officiating. That's the problem. We all saw what happened with Formula One last year, and Michael Massey handing a title to Max Verstappen. That wasn't in the rule book. That was
that was outrageous as well.
Yeah, but that was one man. That was nothing to do with the sport as a whole. It was one man, and he lost his post because of that. But the problem we have is the officiators. It's the decisions they're making which are making VAR look bad. And there will be a level of that, because Tony will tell you, when we first went to instant replay in the early 90s in the NFL, we had the same problems too. And in fact, 2 years ago, remember the pass interference calling the Saints?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
we had it in last year's Super Bowl.
It's human error. It's human error. Game. Yeah. Corruption.
The face mask that didn't get called.
It's corruption, man.
Anyway, guys, let's go on to this week's fixtures. Let's just battle through this one and then call this one a day. Great conversation, guys. So we've seen Newcastle win at home to Wolves. So let's go
through American time.
One. I'll go top. Let's do top to bottom. That means Apollo, you go first. Andy, you go second, and I'll go third with your results for each game. Everton, Man United, Apollo.
United 1-0. It might even be a draw, but I'm going United 1-0.
I'm going to go 1-1.
I'm going 3-1 to Man United.
Ooh. Arsenal, I'm going 2-0.
I don't like saying it, but I would probably go the same score, 2-0.
And I'm going to join you, 2-0 to Arsenal. Watford Leeds, Apollo.
Ooh, 1-1 draw. This one. This one's got draw all over it.
Because my missus is Leeds, I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
I'm going to go 1-1 again, like Apollo.
Okay, and here's my shocker of the week. I think it's going to be Chelsea 2, Southampton 2. I think it's going to be a draw.
I'm going to go more out of hope than belief. Southampton 2, Chelsea 1.
Southampton 1, Chelsea 2.
Tottenham Villa. I think that's going to be 1-1.
I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
I'm going 1-1.
Leicester Palace. I think that this is going to be a tough game for Palace. I think that would be 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I might go 2-1 Leicester. I think Palace might be a little bit after Lord Mayor's show. I think they might have a bit of a reality bump back down to earth.
I'm going 1-0 Palace.
And Brentford West Ham, London Derby. I'm going to go with West Ham 1-0 away win here.
I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford. I think West Ham might rest a couple of players for the European game midweek.
That would be the end of their
I'm
top
gonna-
four.
Did you go 2-1, Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to join you on that one. 2-1 to Brentford.
I'm going with this is a tough one. This is a relegation battle. It's gonna be a draw. It's gonna be 1-1. A lot of draws this week.
I think because they have to, and because they've just beaten Everton, I'm going to go with 1-0 Burnley.
I'm also going to go Burnley, but I'm actually going to go 2-0 Burnley.
Ooh. And this is the big one, guys. This is game of the week. I'm going to go 2-1 to Liverpool. Liverpool's going to win the title for me.
I'm going to go 2-1 City.
Wow.
Ooh. So
Wow.
it comes to deciding vote. Wow.
Wow, Andy.
I don't know what's so wow about it. I mean, City are at home. They're the champions. I don't see that as a wow, really, is it?
Well, Liverpool's playing the best football
They're
right
not
now.
invincible.
They are.
But
Yeah,
I
not
think
invincible there. You should know that.
City have not been on
So-
form in a while, man.
So bearing in mind that your team did the business at Man City,
Yeah.
and
They-
your team is nowhere near the quality of Liverpool, I'm gonna go with Liverpool. 2-1.
I believe the City are a better team than Liverpool, and I'm waiting I'm waiting for them to show it. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going Liverpool 2-1.
I wouldn't be shocked if it was a draw.
Of the season, as it's probably going to decide who wins the league.
Yeah, it will. It will. I mean, I remember when Liverpool was about to play Arsenal and Klopp said, we have to win every single game from now to the end of the season. And when he said that, I was just like, my man's just programmed these guys to do exactly what they need to do. And they're on path. And not only that, but I think they're going to also win the Champions League. I think they're going to win the title. And I just think Liverpool right now are the standard of Europe. And that's one thing Man City's never been. Man City's never done the Champions League. They've never looked the part. And I think Liverpool are going to sweep it.
Andy, what's your thoughts on that?
My own hope, purely because they've been so brilliant to watch for several years now, is I want Man City to win the Champions League. That's what I want. Whether it will happen or not, I don't know. But I think this Man City team is exceptional, and I think that they deserve to get over the line and win the Champions League. And so I'm hoping that they do it. I don't really care who wins the league, to be honest, out of those two. It doesn't really bother me either way. But I would like to see the City. I'm kind of torn in the sense that I don't want to reward buying success in the way that City have, but I have to respect it. You know, not everyone can. I mean, look at Everton. They've spent several £100 million and and look where they are.
Yeah.
You know, not everyone buys the right players. Pep has got players, and then he's made them an absolutely fantastic football team. And so, you know, in terms of who I like to watch, City are the best football team to watch for me, because of the way they play. But it's a bit of a sort of you don't always want to reward that, but you've also got to respect what Pep's done with that team and how good they are. Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Mahrez. I mean, this is a wonderfully talented team of footballers.
Yeah,
maybe losing Diaz is going to be a problem for them.
Kez agrees with you. He said, I agree with Andy. I would love City to win it, not because of what they have done to get back to winning ways, but Pep made them special.
Exactly what I said.
I'm with Bertram on this one. I can't respect the manager unless he's taken a team. If he went and managed Arsenal and done this with Arsenal, then I would say he's the greatest manager of all time. But I just can't bring myself to say it because he keeps landing these spots that are pot of gold. And it's just like, Show me something. Show me something when you step outside of your circle. Show me something that you can do when you haven't got all this an advantage. If we aching this to athletics, it would be like Man City's taking steroids because of the amount of money that they're allowed to spend. And I can't, for the love of me, in my competitive nature as a sportsman in my life, I can't do it, man.
What would it say about Conte if he got Spurs in the top 4?
Conte's brilliant. Conte's a brilliant manager.
From where we were when he took over, which was nowhere.
But would you be surprised? Because that's what the man brings.
Yeah, Conte's top 3.
I expect that. You know, you look at what he did at Tottenham, Chelsea, sorry. You know, he doesn't go to places and not succeed. He's a natural born winner.
I think he's top 3. A lot of people might say top 5, but I actually think he's top 3 in world football management.
What, with Guardiola and Klopp?
Yeah. I think he's top 3. I really do. I think he's top 3. Spurs land. I think Tuchel's top 5. I think he's top 5, but I wouldn't put him
Conte's never won Champions League, has he?
No, he hasn't. And that's been his downfall, really. He's been to so many different various teams trying to get them over the line, and he's just faltered, really. So he's got a lot to prove at Chelsea, but we don't have Abramovich there to sack managers every two months. So I don't know what the new owners are going to do.
I'll tell you what I was watching. I was reading about this week. Is about Diego Simeone. The fact that he's now 10 years into his tenure at Atletico. The amount of managers that have gone through Barcelona and Real Madrid.
Wow.
I think it's 13 different managers in the same time that he's been at Atletico. And when we're talking about top coaches, there's no denying he deserves plaudits for doing what he's done with the budget that he's got and just continues to keep that team relevant at the very top of this game.
I mean, like he's had 2 titles in recent years, hasn't he? He had 2 La Ligas.
Zidane is still out there, guys.
For that.
Zidane is still out there.
Yeah, but we know Zidane's been given, like, literally an open checkbook.
So was Pep.
And it hasn't always worked. But yeah, you know, for his time, he's a genius.
It didn't work out for Pep in Bayern Munich as well. So I really do like Zidane as a manager. And, you know, I know he's 49 years old, but I think he needs to come to the Premier League. Yeah. He's young.
He doesn't want to, though, does he?
No, he doesn't
want to.
Yeah, he doesn't like the Premier League.
If Zidane wanted to manage in the Premier League, he'd have been here by now.
Yeah, I agree.
And I believe you've just got to have a different mentality to come to the Premier League. You know, there's so much politics involved with the Premier League teams. I don't know if every manager wants to go through that.
I agree. I mean, Kez is saying, but Spurs are a problem. So many managers haven't fixed that. But that's the whole point I'm making, that Spurs had not invested in a spine. You saw Mikel Arteta and Edu bring in the goalkeeper, the 2 centre-backs, Thomas Partey. Spurs, somebody needed to go, and the fact that they, you know, Vertonghen and Toby Kanobi, they were aging centre-backs who still have not been replaced. But for a guy like Conte to come in,
well, Romero's there. He's top draw.
Yeah, I'll give you him. But for the midfield as well, which has been a work in progress, for Conte to come in and steady the ship, you just have to look at his record, his win-loss record as a Spurs manager. You know, you haven't seen the best of him in London yet, and that's the scariest thing. He's going to want to go to invest to challenge for the title next season. Whether they will or won't, I don't know. I think that they probably, I think Arsenal are 2 to 3 players away. I think Spurs are probably 3 to 4 players away, because they got to do work in the midfield. They got to work on the defense as well. Yeah. So he's probably got a little bit more to do, but he'll do it.
A left-sided centre-back, a top-class left-sided centre-back. They're looking up, I believe, at Stefan de Vrij of Inter. There's obviously the Dutch guy and he worked under Conte when Inter won the title last year. We're also looking at Gleison Bremer at Torino. I think Bremer and De Vrij are the two that we are really looking at for a left-sided centre-back. They want Rudiger, but I don't think it's going to happen. The only sniff we get with Rudiger is if we get the top four. If we make Champions League, then that increases your chances of getting top quality players with Conte as manager. If we don't make the top four, in my opinion, Kane will go. If we don't get top four, Kane goes. I think then there's a chance that Conte goes, and then the whole thing comes down like a pack of cards. If we make the top four, Conte stays, Kane stays, and you probably get 2-3 top-class players coming in on threes that are about, like Kessié, Rudiger. I'm not saying they'll all come. They won't all come. But I think we can, if we've got top four and we've got Conte, if we've got Champions League and Conte as manager and Kane is staying, then I think you can attract 2 or 3 top-class players to come, and that can make you that, a top, a challenging side, because Conte won't accept anything less.
So at the start of this season, I said to you that, and you knew this was coming, Andy. You knew this was coming. I said to you that Skip is their most underrated midfielder. Now you've seen him and I know he's going through a bit of injury at the moment, but now you've seen him this season. Yeah, I know he's I don't know why it's come at a really bad time for him when they need him the most. But you've seen him now for the season. Can you tell me your analysis on him? Do you think he's going to make it at Spurs, or is this someone that we're just not going to see involved in the future? I rate him highly.
I think they believe in him at Spurs, so I think Skip will make it. I think he's got a lot of very, very good attributes. I'm still not convinced that he is top class. I think he could be potentially, but I'm not. He would need to show me more to convince me that he's going to be like top of the tree. But he's a very, very capable young player, and I think he's only going to get better with Conte as his manager. But obviously, he needs to stay clear of injury, because injuries hold so many good young players back. I mean, you've seen it at Arsenal.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, and I've just got one personal question. This is a very personal question to me. My good friend Neville Austin, who I've known for many, many decades, his son is Brandon Austin, who's your goalkeeper, who's just signed a new contract. What do you actually know about him? Because he's a very, very talented goalkeeper, and they're talking about him now maybe replacing Lloris. Is there much you know about Brandon?
I don't know that much about him, to be honest. I mean, he's been on the bench on several occasions, so I know of him, and I know he's there, and I know he's thought of very highly. But until you see them play regularly, in the first team, it's difficult to know whether you think they can make it or not, because just seeing the occasional under-23s game or a reserve game, it's difficult to decide how good someone is going to be. But I know they think of him highly at the club, so
he's the same age as Aaron Ramsdale. He's 23 now.
Yeah.
So all right, Tony.
You'd have wanted him to have some game time, which he basically hasn't had.
He's been on loan. Yeah, he's had.
No, I mean for us.
Oh yeah.
That's the problem. But yeah, maybe he does need another season on loan. I don't know, but preferably to a Premier League club rather than a lower division club. But not easy.
Right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Been a great show. Some good conversation. Lots to think about. Good luck to everybody this weekend. You and I should be meeting up tomorrow, Apollo.
At the game, yep.
I'll
be
come
there.
and catch up with you at some point during the game tomorrow.
Come and you seagulls.
Yeah, so everybody out there, thanks for joining us this evening. Hope you have a great weekend. Most people are off to join their kids on holiday next week. It's Easter week. Kids, my lad's off for the week. So, yeah, enjoy your week. Whatever you do, wherever you go, Keep safe, and we'll see you guys next week, Friday.
Excellent,
care.
guys.